Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we are unboxing and reviewing the ASUS ROG Zephyrus M15 gaming laptop. So the Zephyrus series is a line of laptops from ASUS that targets the premium, thin and light gaming laptop market. This is a segment that I think is growing a lot in popularity recently. The M15 is a 15.6-inch ultra-slim, ultra-portable lifestyle laptop that packs some great hardware under the hood, while maintaining a sleek, beautiful design. There are three color options for this laptop. The one I've got today is the Grey Edition. This particular version has the i7 CPU, 16 gigs of RAM, a 1660 Ti graphics card, and a 144Hz screen. For the Zephyrus M15, there are mainly two CPU options that ASUS provides. Both of them are Intel based. One is the 6-core i7-10750H, and the second one is the more powerful 8-core i7-10875H. On the memory side, this laptop supports up to 16GB x 2 for a maximum total of 32 gigs of RAM in dual channel setup. There is only one RAM slot available that you can use. The other one is soldered onto the motherboard. The storage, on the other hand, gives you more flexibility when it comes to the upgrade. There are two slots for M.2 PCIe SSD, and you are able to upgrade them both. On the graphics side, this laptop can be configured up to an RTX 2070 Super with 90W TGP. So depending on which country you are in, you should be able to find Zephyrus M15s available with either GTX 1660 Ti, RTX 2060, RTX 2070, or the RTX 2070 Super graphics card options. There are three different panels that ASUS ships with this laptop. These target different kinds of users, so I will throw them up on the screen for a quick comparison. The first panel is a 144Hz Full HD IPS level anti-glare display with 250 nits of brightness. The color gamut is not that great on this panel, as it's only capable of showing 67% of sRGB and 47% of Adobe RGB. This panel is excellent to use for gaming, but not so much for creative work if you require top-notch color accuracy. The 144Hz panel should also be the cheapest out of the three options. The second panel option is faster at 240Hz. It too is an anti-glare Full HD IPS level display with 300 nits of brightness. Color gamut is much better on this one, capable of displaying 100% of sRGB and 75% of Adobe RGB. The third panel is geared towards content creators, as it provides the highest resolution at 4K, and color gamut is the best out of the three panels, at 132% of sRGB and 100% Adobe RGB. When it comes to connectivity, the M15 supports both Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.0. The battery has 76 Wh capacity. I did a continuous video playback test in YouTube, and I got around 7.5 hours from the M15. If you were to use this laptop for mixed usage, such as web browsing, watching some Netflix, or typing on documents, I think you can get between 4 to 6 hours typically out of this machine from a single charge. I got close to 2 hours of gameplay out of the M15 when playing Fortnite, which I think is pretty good even though frame rate was capped at 30 FPS when using just the battery. The 230W power adapter that comes with the Zephyrus M15 laptop is quite chunky, weighing 770 grams or 1.7 pounds. Considering that the laptop only weighs 2.1 kilos or 4.1 pounds, it is a pretty big adapter to be carrying around with. Fortunately, there is support for USB-C power delivery. So USB power delivery supports secondary charging via USB-C. So you could charge this laptop through a single USB-C cable with a power bank or a small USB-C adapter. The USB-C adapter, however, does not come as standard in the package. You might be able to find it bundled with the computer in selected countries, but otherwise it is something that you have to buy separately. The M15 ships without a webcam or an SD card reader. The webcam I can pretty much survive without, as I don't use it that much. However, the lack of SD card reader is a major disappointment, especially when ASUS is selling this as a content creator device. Apart from the missing SD card reader, the rest of the port selection is really good on this laptop. On the left side, there's a 3.5mm audio jack, a separate 3.5mm audio jack for microphone, a Type-A USB 3.2 Gen 2 port, a full-sized HDMI port, an Ethernet port, and the last one is for power input. On the right side, we have a Thunderbolt 3 port, combined with DisplayPort 1.4, as well as support for 65-watt power delivery through one single USB-C connector, 2 more USB ports, and a Kensington lock. I think ASUS has done a terrific job here with the selection of some very useful ports. This is how a laptop should be designed like in 2020. Moving on to the keyboard. The M15 has a very solid chiclet-style keyboard. Travel distance is decent for a laptop that is only 90mm thick. The brushed black version has per-key RGB, while the gray version only has single-zone RGB across the whole keyboard. No matter which version you select, all of them supports ASUS Aura Sync, so you can plug in an Aura Sync mouse or an Aura Sync monitor and get the lighting effects to sync together across all your devices. There are 4 quick buttons above the standard keyboard area. These are toggles for volume up and down, muting the microphone, and opening up ASUS Armoury Crate software. There is a little bit of flex on the panel, but that's quite normal. Almost all laptops have this. Not so much flex on the keyboard part, except in the middle. The rest of the laptop has a very solid build, and I think in terms of overall, the build quality is very good for the M15, and certainly above the average for a gaming laptop. The speakers are bottom firing. They do reflect off the surface in a way that it feels like the sound is coming off the main display. I do think the direction of the sound, together with the slim borders of the panel, provides a really nice immersive experience while gaming. However, I also noticed that the maximum volume is not very loud. You can definitely hear a difference from, say, 50% volume, but even at 100% volume level, this won't be the loudest device out there. This is how the M15 sounds like when playing a game. I recorded this audio from a very quiet room, so you can hear how the audio sounds like on this laptop.
Moses Lee, CEO of Kowloon, has taken a dominant lead and looks invincible. Sierra Knox will need to risk it all if she wants to win for the 3rd year in a row. The stakes are as high as they can get.
When it comes to the thermals, this laptop has 2 major hotspots. One is in the middle top area, the other one is to the sides of the laptop. I measured the noise level across 3 modes, silent, balance, and turbo mode. It shouldn't come as a surprise that turbo mode was the loudest, around 50 decibels. In balanced mode, this was in average 6 decibels lower. And in silent mode, yet another 6 decibels lower volume. This was measured when running a game, so if you're doing a less intensive task, the fans will sound even less in silent mode. On to performance. I did a mixture of synthetic benchmarks in combination with real-world gaming tests. Starting with synthetic benchmarks. In Cinebench R15, I'm getting a CPU score of 1292 and OpenGL scored 110 FPS. In Cinebench R20, I tested the multi-core performance and got 3123 points. This was just 7% lower than the Strix G15 I reviewed earlier. In Unigine Heaven, the overall score was 2011 and 79 FPS, using Ultra presets and running at 1080p with VSync turned off. I then ran the Zephyrus M15 through a couple of graphically intensive games, and here are the results. Hitman 2. I used the highest settings, ran the game in 1080p mode, and had VSync turned off. The game's FPS will vary a lot depending on which area you are in and what's being drawn on the screen. In most part of the game, you will be able to get above a solid 60 frames per second. However, there are a few instances where the game will drop below 50 FPS, especially in the very dense areas. The second game I tested was Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Again, I tested with higher settings, 1080p and VSync turned off. I'm getting between 60 to 70 FPS in max settings. Next game is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I turned all the graphical settings to the highest. With VSync turned off and running at 1080p resolution, the game's built-in benchmark scored 68 frames per second in average. Finally, I also tested Fortnite. In epic settings, I can generally hit above 85 FPS in Battle Royale mode. From all my testings, I think the 1660 Ti is in average around 15% slower than an RTX 2060, depending on what game I'm playing. In my final render test of exporting a 10-minute 51-second video with some basic effects to 1080p H.264 for YouTube, the M15 did it in 7 minutes 25 seconds. I also did some comparisons with other gaming laptops I reviewed earlier. You may pause the video if you want to compare the results. So we have come to the conclusion who I think this laptop is made for. I think ASUS is making an attempt to blend two different user groups here. It is obvious that the design of this laptop is an attempt to make it look less gaming. With the i7 processor and the 4K display option, this laptop is also trying to capture the content creators as much as gamers. However, the aggressively designed exhaust vents and the dedicated keys for Armoury Crate launcher, as well as the RGB backlit keyboard, gives away its original identity. Now don't get me wrong, I still think this is a very nicely designed premium laptop. But if you're purely after a gaming notebook, then there are certainly cheaper and better alternatives out there that could serve that purpose. And if you want a laptop that is primarily suited for creative tasks, then there are certainly many different options out there. The lack of SD card reader is a mishit in my opinion, considering this is a gaming/content creator hybrid machine. If you plan to use the M15 as your gaming and video editing laptop, consider to get at least 1TB of SSD, as the storage tends to fill up very quickly. That was all for this time. If you enjoyed the content, share the video to your friends, comment if you have any questions about this laptop, and give the video a like. If we can hit 300 likes for this video, I'll make a review on the Zephyrus Duo 15, which is the latest flagship from ROG. Subscribe and turn on the bell notifications so you won't miss out on my next video. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next time, right here in GenX Reviews channel.